All right, hello everyone. Eric Marks, FindingMiddleEarth.com, and welcome to the very first episode of my weekly Instagram photo critique. I have more than 150 posts now of people tagging my hashtag FME Critique. So thank you so much, all of you, for participating in this. If any of you want the chance to get your photo critiqued on my YouTube channel here, just when you're posting your photo on Instagram, just use my hashtag FME Critique, and I'll be able to look that up by the hashtag and choose my photos every single week. So this week, because it's the first episode, I'm doing 3 photos. And the third photo is going to be one that is a near perfect photo. Just a couple of little critiques I'll have, but I just want to give you guys an example in the first episode of what I think is a near perfect composition, color, everything. So before I get into this, let's talk about what I'm going to be critiquing on. I'm going to be critiquing on composition, color, contrast, post-processing, multiple things. A lot of people just critique on the way the image is set up. I like to critique the post-processing, the color, the way things were cropped, or the height, that you were taking the image at. Sometimes I'll say, well, if you'd have been a few feet lower to the ground or even higher up, I think it might have made a better composition. So I like to critique a lot of the nitpicky things so that it really helps make you guys better photographers. Keep in mind, if you disagree with my critique, that is more than okay. The only reason I'm critiquing these is because I'm doing it based on my knowledge, my experience, and my taste in photography. Now, some of the things are not just a taste. Some of the things are just, basic principles of photography and techniques. But any of the color and cropping and the way it was processed, a lot of that is just my taste. So I'm doing this to help, give constructive criticism. So again, if you disagree, please, don't get disgruntled and go trolling in the comments. This is just to help better people as photographers. And if they disagree, it's perfectly fine, because we're all different artists at the end of the day, and we all have different tastes in the way we like our images edited and the final result. So let's go and get started without further ado. So the first image here is taken by a man named, I think it's Rebel. I'll put their Instagram in the bottom of the screen right now, so you guys can take a look at their Instagram. And so this guy, I think, has captured a beautiful moment. This forest that he is in is just, I immediately, when I saw this photo, I wanted to be there. So I think the composition is set up quite beautiful. I think it's a very nice composition because, let me tap on my brush here so I can draw. So the first thing I notice when I look at this are these light beams, right? These big light beams coming out of the tree from where the sun is behind the tree. The big sun, you can tell, is right here, and it's spitting out these beams of light. And that is a beautiful way to capture light in landscape photography. Sometimes it can be tough to really pick up those actual streams of light coming out of trees or from behind mountains, and he did it very well. So I love, just right away looking at the photo, I love the way it's set up. The composition, I think, is top-notch. It's beautiful. And I'm not sure if this is a panorama or if he just took a photo and then cropped it. Either way, I love the way that's set up. So let me undo my brushes here so I can go on to the next thing. So another thing I noticed that's nice about this is that there are 3 ducks right here in the pond, and that's kind of another leading line compositional element, in my opinion, because when I come back here and I start to notice the foreground right here, which is this big pond right here, right? I start to notice the pond, and I'm looking for something for my eye to kind of catch hold of. And immediately, once I got over looking at these beams of light, I came back to the pond, and immediately my eye went to the 2 ducks, and then to the 3rd duck out here. So I thought that was another brilliant way to capture the composition. So as far as composition, leading lines, all of that is great. So now let's talk about some of the technical things, okay? So number 1, after I got done making my way through the photo with my eyes, right, I noticed these beams, I noticed the ducks, and I'll go ahead and put my brush strokes back. So we got the beams here, which is all good. We got the ducks, which is a nice leading line, right back out to the sun. And then I started to notice a couple of areas here that were really distracting. So when you have areas of shadow like this, okay, right here and right here, there's these little holes in the bushes, and there's nothing, he didn't do anything wrong here. It's just that when he was there, these bushes had some breaks in the bushes, and some light was popping through from the back. And so what that was causing, because this is a shadow area of the image, it's causing kind of a distraction, because really, if you look at the image from back here, those are just kind of white splotchy blobs. They're not really, they don't really retain detail. They're not nice light. It's not nice golden light. It just shows up as these little dots of light. And so I think that's kind of distracting, since he's chosen to put that whole side under the tree there in deep shadow. I have no problem with it being in deep shadow, but if you're going to put it in deep shadow, make sure the whole thing is in shadow there. So all you have to do there is just obviously clone stamp that out and make it jet black along with all this other stuff, because I'm fine with that being in shadow. There's probably not much interesting there to see other than some more trees and foliage. So yeah, these right here, I would clone stamp that out, because that is a little distracting to the composition. If you look at this area over here is another area that was a little distracting. Right here is purple. And I was trying to figure out why it was purple, and then I zoomed in on it, and it is extreme chromatic aberration. So again, these are technical things. These aren't necessarily compositional things, but technically, definitely want to fix the chromatic aberration. Now, if you just post these on the web and post these on Instagram, of course, you know, you can do what you want there, but I like my files to be very close to perfect, since I do a lot of printing. So the chromatic aberration could definitely be touched up there with some tools in Photoshop and tools in Lightroom here. Okay, and then the second thing I noticed is up here in the clouds, all right? So let's take a look at the sky. So I think the sky is a little gray, all right? I think the clouds are kind of gray, and I like the blue color right here. The blue in the sky right here is that very nice, pleasing blue sky that we all kind of visualize what blue sky should look like. And then as you get up here, right here in these little ripples in the clouds, the sky that's peeking out from those clouds is like a black inky inky blue. It looks like pen ink. It's that like dark deep blue, and just right here is the nice blue, and then over here is this inky dark blue, and realistically that probably wouldn't happen. So it could have been something that happened while he was post-processing this image, or it could have just been the way that the sensor captured it. But what I would do is try to take out some of the gray in these clouds. You might have even wanted to dodge the clouds a little bit to kind of bring up the brightness and the white levels, and that way it kind of creates some color separation between the blue and the white a little better, because right now the blue sky down there is very very pleasing, and then again up here the clouds turn kind of gray with kind of a yellowish tint, and the yellowish tint is from the sun, which is great, but the clouds are kind of black and gray, and so this seems like a fairy tale happy scene. So I don't really want to see dark, moody clouds in it. I'd rather see more of like a happy sky, because this little blue down here is very happy. I think this is a very happy scene. So yeah, I would have probably worked on the clouds a little bit just to brighten them up and make them a little more white and bright and happy, instead of this dark, deep, ink blue color. And then the second thing I noticed in the sky is over here, starting from about right here, and it goes up and up here. You can see there's a large halo, and I don't know if it's a halo or if it's an actual brush stroke for maybe where he was blending in, multiple exposures. I'm not sure if this was a blend or not, but regardless, if I undo my brush stroke, you can see there's a big stroke of brightness right here. It's almost just like super hard edge here to here. It goes from nice soft clouds to this hard edge of brightness and a completely different color tone in the sky. So again, like everything this way of this line is kind of gray and yellow and dark, and then right here it just gets really bright and white and kind of overexposed. And so I'm not sure if maybe this whole area was blended in separately to make brighter. Just not sure. So anyway, not a whole lot wrong with the photo. It's very little things that could make subtle but big differences to me in the photo, because I love, again, right away when I look at it. Let me take my brushes off so you guys can see it again. Right away when I look at it, again, great photo, beautiful composition. I like the warm tones in it. It makes me really happy. Again, it makes me think that like this is some like fairy tale forest. But then when I get to the sky, it's not quite as nice, not quite as fairy tale. It seems kind of dark and moody and a little too deep for the nice happy tones that you have, you know, going in the rest of the image. Especially with the ducks in the pond, it just seems like too happy for this image to have that kind of dark sky. So being that the sun is already there in the sky, you know, it shouldn't be too unbelievable to make a bright sky to kind of match those brighter tones in the sky. So anyway, I think overall it's a really nicely done image, well done. And other than those few little things that I had to say, keep up the good work. You obviously know what you're doing. It's a very, very nice photo. Beautiful place too. I'd love to visit there. If you don't mind, if you're watching this video, comment and let us know where this was taken, because it's a very beautiful place. All right, the next photo here. This was taken by a guy named Brian, and again, I'll throw up his Instagram on the screen so you can see that as well. And this is street photography. So this, I love the way, you know, certain street photographers do this whole, this like tricky, clever light play on their street photos, and this is one of those. It's very, very clever. They'll always search for interesting light and very contrasty compositions, and then they'll wait for subjects to walk into the little pools of light, and this is one of those situations. So there's not a whole lot wrong with this photo. I actually like almost everything about it. It's very nice. The only couple things that I would change here, so immediately, of course, my eye goes to the two guys here walking in the pool of light right here. Give me a second. Let me change my brush back to red. Sorry, so you guys can see it. So yeah, the two guys right here walking through the pool of light is beautiful. Obviously, you can see the sun is hitting this whole side of the building, and there's something, you know, another building probably blocking it right here. So I love the cutoff in the light. You can see it just cuts off, and then boom, it just hits them right there. So I love that. They're obviously the star of the composition. This whole building shooting the light down, and then so the only things as far as distraction, because you know you have to think about something. So obviously he wanted a lot of the foreground and the right side of the image to be in shadow on purpose, which it makes sense because this is a very, very, very high contrast composition, right? Very contrasty lighting. He wants deep shadows and bright highlights. But if you're going to do that, you know, make sure that in the deep shadows there's not a lot of tiny little, you know, bright distractions. So first things first, and this again, personal preference. If maybe he really liked this, I am not a big fan of having the stop sign hand there in the composition. I think that's kind of a distraction, in my opinion. I think that if I'm looking at it here, that was one of the things that kind of pulled my eye away from the composition. And then also in the blue sky right here, let's zoom in a little further. All right, right here, this huge thing on the top of the building is quite distracting. And then right on the edge of the frame, you clipped just a little bit of a white building. And I know I might be sounding really harsh and nitpicky here, but those are the little things that kind of, you know, distract me as I'm trying to make my way through the photo. Because you know, as a photographer and as an artist, I like to make my way through the photo like I would my photo. I would examine the composition, and I would look at the details, and I enjoy doing that, and other photographers enjoy doing that too. And so when I do that, I find these little things that can distract me, and certainly subconsciously it could distract your viewers, but they just don't know how to put that into words because they may not be artists. So we have to kind of think for our viewers and make sure their eyes do what we want it to do through that's why composition is so important. So this, you know, huge stick right here poking out of the building, I think that's kind of ruining the blue sky. And then that little bit there on the edge of the photo, and maybe even, you know, this whole building here, because it's kind of being cut off, I would have maybe cropped, you know, this whole thing out, just this whole little bit of the building, just to make the composition a little cleaner. Because again, this is all about focusing on what's right in the bottom center of the frame. So yeah, and surprisingly, the power lines going through here, I kind of like those. I think it kind of mixes it up and makes it more kind of urban street photography. You know, I kind of like the way it crisscrosses right here. You can see the little crisscross, and I think it kind of works as kind of a leading line. It kind of draws my eye back down from the blue sky and then back over this way. And then as soon as I see the shadow, I'm almost kind of caught, you know, back down by these guys again. So I kind of like the power lines. I think those are actually kind of a nice touch to the blue sky, but not a big fan of this. This one's, you know, kind of a random thing here. And then this whole side here should probably be cropped off, just to clean, you know, just to clean the composition up. Now, this is all personal preference. There's obviously, from what it looks like, a back bumper of a car right here. I I don't know how I feel about this. You know, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I like it or don't like it, because if it wasn't there, then it would pretty much just be black shadow, and I don't know if that would make things good or bad. You have light kind of kissing the back of the car, and so you know, it almost kind of works as a leading line straight down, and then, you know, back up here. So I'm not sure if I like that or not, but it caught the light, so that, I guess that can only be good. So I don't know. I think it kind of works. I like that there's kind of a little bit of a car here. It kind of shows, you know, it showcases that you're on the streets and you're out, you know, mingling with these people and just trying to capture lifestyle. So I kind of like that. I think the car kind of works nicely. Other than those, you know, tiny little things, I like it. I think it's well done. I like that the street isn't completely blacked out. There's still a little bit of detail here. You've almost made me believe that it's nighttime, but it can't be nighttime because I see blue sky up here for, you know, and harsh sun hitting right here. So yeah, it's well done. I think the play on the light is very nice. But yeah, the stick here in the sky, the stop sign hand right here, and then cropping it a little bit, I think would have made it a little better. But bravo, I think he did a very good job. So let's move on to the third photo. Okay, the reason I chose this third one is because I wanted to show you guys what I think is one of the just an almost near perfect photo. So this person is named Jonathan, and he FME hashtagged the FME critique as well. And when I saw it, I was like, why in the world does he want me to critique this photo, right? He needs to be critiquing my work. I think it's a gorgeous photo, right? So this one is like 99% perfect. The 1% I'll go over in just a second, but let's just examine the composition for a second, okay? Let's examine why I think it's so good. So right when I look at the photo, now everyone's eyes are you know, and brain is going to think different, but right when I look at the photo, of course, star of the show is the sun right here, okay? And right when I look at the sun, the first thing my eyes did after that was follow this nice light trail that the sun gives us, right? All right here. It followed this trail right into the foreground, right here. And as soon as I got to the foreground, there's this nice line, and this line and trail follows you all the way down to this big horseshoe, okay, and all the way up, and right when I get about right here, all right, my eye stops following this line, and it actually goes up. And why does it do that? Now, in my opinion, I think it does that because right when we get here, the darker clouds and the brighter clouds start to mix. They start to kind of break apart and become this beautiful, bright, orange, vibrant, you know, color. It starts about right here. So I noticed that right when I, you know, followed my way around this horseshoe, right when I got here, my eyes shot up to the clouds, which is perfect. And I started appreciating and noticing all this gorgeous color in the clouds right here. And then, of course, that shot me right back down to the sunset. And then I just keep following this perpetual, you know, circle of beautiful composition that just keeps leading me back and back around. So let me get rid of these brush strokes and show you the little things that I would have done different. So as far as composition, perfect. I don't think you could have done any better. I think it's perfect. The light, perfect. The post-processing, even very nice. I would like to know if this is a blend or if you used a graduated filter. Maybe this area right here, you know, is a little too blown out. It could have had, there was probably a lot of extra detail in this little bit right here. So, you know, that's all opinion. A lot of people like to blow out the sun. I like to blow out the actual sun itself. But I don't like to blow out, you know, the clouds around it. So I'm not sure if there was detail there or not. Maybe that's just the way the sky was. Maybe it was just a cloud line up here. But so the couple of things that were distracting for me as my eyes made the way, you know, through the photo here is this down here. This kind of shows the human element in the photo, and this is a little staircase. I thought just because the staircase was kind of white and these little bars were reflecting off the sun, this little bit here was kind of distracting to me, just because it's right in the bottom, you know, near the bottom corner. So my eyes kind of went there after I got done with the sun, and right when I was about to go into the foreground, I just kind of quickly noticed, you know, what the heck is this, right? It was just kind of, it's a little bit distracting. And then as I made my way again all the way back out through here, my eyes kind of jittered and stopped for a second, and I noticed this little bright white highlight, and I'm not even quite sure what that is, but if we zoom in on it, it looks like it might even be a tint or even just a really bright rock. So just because it's so kind of out of place, I maybe would have clone stamped, you know, maybe this rock over here, you could have clone stamped it right here, or just clone stamp some of the grass right over it, right? Just to cover it up. So yeah, I think that really bright highlight right there was kind of distracting, because even, I mean, you can even see it if you're, let me undo this, if you're over here, right? You can see it right over there. It's quite bright. And it's obviously just catching the light from the sun. So not a big deal. I mean, it's like the teeny tiniest of things. I'm just saying what I would have done different if this was my photo and I was, you know, post-processing this and selling it for print. But my gosh, this is a beautiful photo. I would buy this as a print. I think it's fantastic. So well done, Jonathan. You did a wonderful job. Again, I'll throw Jonathan's Instagram up as well, so you guys can follow him. He seems to have a lot of oceanic sunsets going on here. So just beautiful. Anyway, thank you guys so much for all three of you for participating in the FME Weekly Critique. There's like 140 something more photos. I promise I'll get to them. I'm gonna try to choose multiple ones every week so that I can kind of knock more out at one time. And again, just seriously, thank you guys for participating in this. Thank you everyone who hashtags FME Critique to their photos. That's all you have to do if you want to be involved in this. And thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one. If you would like to stay up to date on all of my latest photography videos and adventures, click the big subscribe button below. And if you would like to find out more about me and how to become a great photographer, visit my website at findingmiddleearth.com.